ado, we're going to go ahead and kick things off and get started. We do have our first polling question. So while we're transitioning to that first slide, we just want to know where everybody's from. So if you want to go ahead and participate, that would be great. This is great information for us to have, and we just kind of like to get an idea of who's in the room. Looks like mostly Loveland. Those of you that are joining us from other towns, I think we know the information is going to be great across the board. So yes, we focus our employer panel for employers that are in Loveland, but the advice they're going to share is going to be super relevant to anybody, regardless of if you live in Loveland or not. And then we also know that some of these employers also, cross city lines. So they might have locations in Fort Collins and some other areas as well. All right, cool. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is kick it off with letting you a little bit, giving everybody an idea of who we are, the Career Rise team. And so what is Career Rise? We are a team that is part of our larger agency in Larimer County Economic and Workforce Development. So if you kind of think about Career Rise, our Career Rise team and our Career Rise services as being an umbrella, where every program, service, and team member that's under that Career Rise umbrella is geared towards serving youth and young adults ages 14 to 24. So our entire passion and job is serving this younger job seeker, either in their first job, somewhere in between. And as you can see, we go all the way up to 24. And so it could be somebody that's just graduating from college and looking for these new opportunities. We pride ourselves on being connected to business and kind of working in partnership with our business community, with our school districts, to provide the best services possible, to connect young people with employers and get them started in career pathways and into the world of work. You'll notice QR codes on each of our presentation slides. If you want to grab a hold of one of those, that's going to take you to the appropriate spot on our website. We are also going to be sharing some information after the event as well. So I'm going to talk for just a couple of minutes about one of our most, one of our biggest services is the employment support that we offer youth and young adults in Larimer County. We do this in a variety of ways, and we get really busy in the spring because everybody is starting to think about summer jobs. It's excellent that you've joined us tonight, nice and early in March, because this is when a lot of employers do their summer hiring, which is why we've decided to host these events in March. Employment support can look a variety of different ways with our team, and people can kind of connect as they need and how they feel comfortable. We do have one-on-one job search support. So you're seeing a picture there of our team, of our employment specialists on the Career Rise team. This photo doesn't include Matt and Jessica, who are two trained CSU interns that are joining us, and they're also part of the event tonight. But one-on-one job search support can be helping a young adult put together their first job search plan. So if somebody is not sure where to start, we can kind of help guide them and coach them with the tools that they might need and how to get started in that. We do resume reviews. Resumes are important tools for employers, and it's a way to get noticed. With young adults, it can be tough because you may have very little to no work history and you're not really sure how to do that. We are excellent at helping young adults build that very important tool, even if they have no official work history before. So we help teach you how to get creative and come up with a product that you're super proud to share with an employer. We do practice interviews. Better to practice and mess up with one of us than with the employer. And so we're more than happy to do that with folks. That can be super helpful. And then we also can do some career exploration, help you come up with some ideas of maybe some career pathways that you might want to start to explore a little bit and get you connected to the business community in that way as well. I will say that this one-on-one job search support, what we're doing right now with COVID and those restrictions is we're still virtual. So these things can happen over the phone, it can happen over email, and then we've also got Zoom, Google Meets, video chats. Those have been working really well for us with the young adults that we work with. So we're still here for you in some ways, a little bit more available since you don't have to travel to the office. We screen job postings. We put them out on our CareerWise Facebook page. So if you haven't already followed us, that could be a great way to get up-to-date news, information, and weekly job postings that we find. We also have what we call a Summer Works newsletter. So after these events, that'll be going out every other week to folks who sign up. And you can imagine getting weekly job postings, featured employers, and especially this time of year, announcements about programs that we have going on and other opportunities. Other great resources, is specific tips for that very young job seeker for 14 to 15-year-olds. And then we have what we call a youth-friendly employer list that's meant to be kind of a starting place for folks to get ideas of where they can apply and what age employers hire at. You can connect with us in a ton of different ways to get this employment support. We've made it really easy this year. You can fill out a form on our website and request a job search consultation, and one of us will get back to you within 2 business days, if not sooner. You can call us at 970-498-6608. It rings at all of our desks and someone will pick up, and you can also email us as well. And again, we'll be sharing some more of that information towards the end of the evening. So as we kind of get ready to transition into the panel, we've got another polling question for folks. If you want to participate in that, we'd like to know who you are. So we know you're from Loveland, Fort Collins, Windsor, Wellington. Now we'd like to know if you're a young job seeker, parent, somebody else. Again, just so we know who's in the room. And the other thing that I want to mention as we're kind of going is that we will be looking for questions. And so if you have a question, you can chat it in, and we'll have some of our staff kind of looking for questions, common themes, and if we can address those as we go. Lots of youth here in the audience tonight. That's excellent. I'm just curious about the age range of the youth that we have in the room tonight as well. Great. Well, I think we'll go ahead and move this along to what everybody came for tonight, which is our employer panel. I'm going to go ahead and introduce Matt here in just a second. I do want to kind of keep everybody in the loop after our employer panel is over. It's a great idea for you to stick around, because after that, we're going to talk about the summer paid internship opportunities that we just launched yesterday. We have 40 positions that are going to be available for youth this summer. And then we're also going to have a great presentation from our youth conservation course. So make sure that you stick around to the end so you can hear about all that great information. So I'm going to pass the baton over to Matt Castle. He's going to be moderating our panel. He's one of our CareerWise interns. Thanks, Matt.
Hey everyone, Matt Castle here. It's a pleasure to be here with you all tonight. We have some amazing employers here that are going to answer some panel questions. From the city of Loveland, we have Kirk. From Jack's Mercantile, we have Stacy. From Culver's, we have Dylan. And from Loveland Laser Tag, we have Jeff. Yeah, so now we're going to transition into some questions for our panel. The first question is just tell us a little bit about yourself, the company you represent and the position you hold, and also what employment opportunities do you have for young adults in our community? So I'm going to send it over to Stacy with Jack's Mercantile to start us off.
Hi, good evening. My name is Stacy. I work for Jack's Mercantile. We have about 9 locations in 3 states, but here in Loveland, we have 2. We have 2 locations in Fort Collins, and then a few more down the Front Range. I've been with Jack's for about 6 years, and I manage the human resources functions for the company. We do employ young people at most of our locations. Generally speaking, part-time employees who are younger and managing school or other jobs will start as cashiers, sometimes sales associates, and then some of our locations also have baristas in our coffee shops.
Thank you, Stacy. How about you, Kirk?
Hi, everybody. It's nice to be here. I work for the City of Loveland, specifically the Parks and Recreation Department, and I am a recreation specialist. So I work a lot with the aquatic side of things, but I'm representing other parts of the Parks and Recreation Department. Jobs that we have and will be available, special events, helping out with special events, summer camps, different parks positions, helping out in the parks with different various landscaping and keeping things in order with our parks. Aquatics, which is what I do, so that would involve swim lesson instructors, lifeguards, cashiers, slide attendants, swim aides, quite a few different positions in aquatics. Concessions, athletics, positions with athletics as well, and then outdoor recreation. So there's quite a few different sectors to parks and recreation, and we can talk about that a little more. And I think might be ahead of myself, but all of this is at lovegov.org/jobs. But we're super happy to be here and look forward to hearing from the other panel members and hearing some questions as well.
We're happy to have you here, Kirk. Let's send it over to Jeff.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jeff. I'm the owner of Loveland Laser Tag, and I'm also the co-owner of Time Emporium Escape Rooms. We've got escape rooms in Loveland and Fort Collins. As the owner, I kind of wear a lot of different hats, hiring being one of them. We employ, as you would imagine, a lot of younger staff members. So our youngest employee is 14. And then our oldest employee, not counting myself, would be in their 30s. And then we have a wide range in between that. A lot of high school and college employees. So we tend to start off younger employees as a general marshal, which would be like running laser tag and ropes course and bumper cars and that sort of thing, or party coaching. That kind of gives way to management positions, working in the cafe, and then kind of an exciting new area in the last couple of years has been the escape rooms. A lot of our employees enjoy that opportunity, and that's one area that's been we've been hiring a lot this year because it's kind of has social distancing built into it. My staff will probably be mad at me for spoiling this, but we're actually soon going to announce that we're opening up more escape rooms in Fort Collins. So sometime this summer, we're looking to add more escape room game masters to our team.
Thank you, Jeff. Let's send it to Dylan now.
Hi guys, my name is Dylan Brewster. I'm the owner-operator here at the Culvers of Johnstown. And this is Ian Campbell, who's our first assistant GM. He does most of the hiring. You can tell him about our positions.
Usually we start as young as 14 for hiring. With 14, 15-year-olds, typically they are able to like mostly do register, talking to guests, cleaning lobby, and along the lines, stuff like that.
Sweet, thank you. Yeah, from what I heard, it looks like there's tons of employment opportunities all over. The next question I have is, how has COVID affected employment at your business? Has there been anything different in your experience that we haven't already heard? Is there something that has been mentioned that you'd like to add? Let's start with Stacy.
So in terms of COVID, we've been really fortunate. We haven't had to close down throughout the whole pandemic. So we've been able to keep our employees working, as well as kind of provide time off for people who felt like they needed it in the circumstance, since we do work with the public. We have had some reduced hours of operation, just when there was a lot of employees who weren't feeling comfortable coming to work and working directly with the public. We did shorten our hours in order to kind of protect our staff as well, especially those who weren't comfortable working. Other than that, it's been kind of business as usual for us.
Thank you, Stacy. How about you, Kirk? Anything you'd add?
Here at the City of Loveland, specifically, I work at the Chilson Recreation Center. There's an outdoor pool. There's the swim beach. Winona Pool's the outdoor pool. What I've seen here in the rec center is just following all the protocols from the CDC and Lamar County. We're just being very careful. We can only have a certain number of people in specific areas of the rec center. We're doing touch point cleans, monitoring where people are at. So it's been kind of just watching this thing evolve. Seems like it's headed in the right direction, but just making sure that we're doing what we need to do to keep our center safe. And there's a great team that's on top of that. And so far, we've had great luck and been able to keep the citizens in the rec center and keep it safe. So it's just following a lot of protocols, and we're in the Level Up program, so that's really neat. So we're able to have a few more people in our rec center. And as time progresses, it seems like more people are coming out and ready to do things. And I was reading an article about like so many people are ready to get out there. So this summer, I think for all of you, there's a lot of opportunities because a lot of people are going to go out and do things. They're ready.
Thanks, Kirk. How about you, Jeff?
Well, I would definitely agree that I think as we get closer to summer, people are really ready to go out once it's really safe to do so. It's definitely been a challenging work environment at a family entertainment center because, as you can imagine, the whole idea of coming to a family entertainment center like Loveland Laser Tag is you want to celebrate with everybody, and that's not the right thing to do in a pandemic. So we've had to really rethink what it means to deliver memorable experiences at LLT. We spent several months closed in the spring, severely reduced hours and operations in the winter, and really a new focus on individualized experiences, smaller groups. So we have a big arena, but instead of filling those games up, how do we create fun times for our guests with 10 people in the arena instead of 40? How can we make the experience feel fun in a facility built for 400 when we're going to limit it to 30 people? And so it's been definitely challenging for our staff. There have been reduced hours, but we've been really encouraged by just how much things have picked up in the last month as as cases have gone down, and also being part of the Level Up program. We've also been really fortunate to be able to provide hours for our staff through the escape rooms. Because we do private sessions, and so they're perfect experience for one household to go and enjoy, and then we go in and sanitizing everything afterwards. So I think our staff is definitely ready to come out of this thing, and they're ready for reinforcements. So we're looking for extra help as we get ready for it should be a really nice summer and hopefully a very busy fall and winter.
Thanks, Jeff. We appreciate your insight. Safety first. Dylan, how about you?
Yeah, like all these guys said, the protocols, certainly having to clean a lot more often, the touch points. Similar to Jeff, we're a family restaurant. We want to get to know our guests, and that's been difficult when it's through a plexiglass drive-through window. So there's been a ton of changes, even with hiring, having to do phone interviews and try and get as much info out of those as possible now before you can bring someone in to meet. Doing a lot of Zoom meetings. We always have large staff meetings, and now we can't have those. We have to bring people in groups or do it on Zoom. So a lot of changes for sure.
Thanks, Dylan. Appreciate it. Next, we'd just like to know a little bit more about your organization's application process and share just kind of what you look for in an employee. If you have any, to share a story of when an applicant stood out to you for hiring and what kind of made that strong impression. Stacy?
Sure. So our application process is pretty straightforward. It's pretty standard. You can fill out an application on our website, jacksgoods.com, scroll to the bottom and click employment. It walks you right through it. It's pretty easy. You'll need to pick a location and then pick a job that you want to apply for. And then from there, the managers review the applications, usually within a couple days, just kind of depends on what their workload. Sometimes it takes a little longer. And then they will call and do a phone screen. The phone screen, they're really looking to see how professional you are on the phone and just kind of chat with you, get a sense of how you talk to people you've never met before. We do a lot of that in this business. And the second thing they're really looking for is availability. Is the time that you're available to come to work match what they're looking for to fill their schedule? So that really varies for every single job, and they're just kind of looking to make sure they can make a match for each one. If that's the case, then they will schedule a time for the applicant to come in and interview with the department manager and then likely the store manager. We try not to do second interviews just so we can kind of speed the process along, but sometimes if the location manager is not available, they'll have to come back a second time. And in that in-person interview, especially when we're hiring young people that don't have a lot of experience, we're mostly looking for professionalism and how outgoing the person is. Do we feel like they're going to be able to talk with strangers and assist them, ask a lot of questions, really looking for outgoing, friendly folks. If you have a passion for the outdoors or some of our farm products, that's even better, but not required.
Thank you, Stacy. Kirk, what's different about your application process?
It's very similar to Stacy's. So as I mentioned, this is a new website. It was City of Loveland. So it's LoveGov, which is lovegov.org/jobs. That's where you go to apply. It's all done online. And then one of the coordinators of that program would give you a call and schedule an interview. We have done in-person interviews just with the protocols in place and the distancing in place and the masks on. And so it really depends on the coordinator, but most likely I think it would be in person moving forward. I hope so. Things are already posted and they'll continue to be posted in the next few months. There's full-time jobs posted there too, but I'm more representing that age group of 14 to 24 that we're talking about. For example, some of the things you do need certifications for, so like lifeguarding, for example, we even have a course available to help with that. You can figure that out on the City of Loveland Chilson Recreation Center website. Day camps, you need to be 18. A lot of these jobs are drug screened and fingerprinted. So keep that in mind. But yeah, everything's done on paper, and we're looking for people, like Stacy said, with great customer service skills, people that love being around people. Obviously safety is foremost in the aquatics, but some of the other jobs, while safety is also important, athletics, just a passion for athletics, the outdoors, just like with Jack's. Concessions is a really fun job if you like being around food and serving, and our friends at Culver's could tell you a lot more about that. But man, that industry, I've always loved that in my career when I worked in the restaurant and hospitality industry. It's so much fun. So I think that's about it. Just basically that website, and a coordinator would contact you. And recently we did some hiring, and we hired someone that had less qualifications than somebody else. And it was just because they really seemed like a people person. They really seemed to care about doing the right thing. They really, really seemed to want to do a good job. And, you know, what's inside here goes a long way. So you don't necessarily have to be super qualified. You just have to have your heart in the right place and want to work hard and be open-minded and learn. So yeah, look forward to getting some applications for sure.
Thank you, Kirk. Jeff, what you got?
So we have an online application, and it is very similar to kind of the other processes that people have described. But the biggest thing I would say is, like for us, we look for people that we think would be a great fit in the organization, and we're not necessarily, very concerned with a lot of job experience. The majority of our employees, I would say, at least 3/4 of them, this is their first job. And the average employee at LLT typically stays around 2.5 years, and usually leaves because they go off to college or get an internship somewhere, things like that. So, when we're looking at that kind of length, we don't expect you to come in with the knowledge of how to do things. We'll teach you how to run laser tag and customer service, but we're really looking for people that have that character and that work ethic, and we can really see being part of the team. So the biggest thing I would say is when you're applying, just try to picture this online form that comes in an email. What are you going to do on that application that's going to make you stand out? So especially if you're a sophomore or a junior or maybe even a senior in high school and you haven't worked anywhere before, don't just leave everything blank and say, I really want to work here because I think it'll be a great first job. Just think about all the things you do that would prepare you for it, like your extracurricular activities, or your favorite class, or even just being good at laser tag and explaining, why you want to be able to teach others to be as good as you in tag, and, talk about your goals and how you want a job in customer service and you think this would help prepare you. So things like that to really, really stand out. And don't be afraid to be unique. So one of the more recent people we hired was a sophomore in high school, and they actually came to work on a skateboard, or came to the interview, I'm sorry, on a skateboard. And this was right before the pandemic started. So they come on a skateboard, and you would think, okay, they're coming on a skateboard. It's maybe not the most professional way to arrive to a job interview. And so the manager that was with me interviewing actually asked, you know, normally asking like, why'd you come on a skateboard? And their answer was, I wanted to show that I'm independent and dependable and have my own ride to work. And that if I can't get a ride from my parents, I'll skateboard if that's what it takes to come in. And needless to say, we hired them because, you know, as you can imagine, you know, as a young person, that's one of the things we'd be most concerned about. How do you get to work on a Saturday? Are you going to rely on your parents, or are you going to have accountability and say, even if my parents are running late, I'm going to find a way?
Thank you, Jeff. That was a really, really great story. Dylan, let's send it to you.
Actually, let Ian take this because he does all the application reviewing.
Ours is very similar to the rest of them. We have you go to culvers.com and you can apply online through there. Some things that we specifically recently have been looking for is for out of our applications is are you able to like mesh well with our team? Are you able to mesh well with our guests and make them smile and make them want to come back and be happy every time they come through? Example that I have like for one application that's really stood out is he came in and I was doing the interview with him, and then halfway through he asked for a copy of our menu. And I asked him why, and he just said, he's like, even if I do or do not get this job, I still want to be able to learn. And so if I am prepared, or if I do get hired, I am prepared even more for this job.
Sweet, thank you, Ian. The next question I have is for the younger youth in our audience. What suggestions would you give them to begin connecting to the workforce? Stacy?
I would say ask questions when you're out and about. If you're in a business that you love to be in, you know, if it's Jack's or laser tag that you really are passionate about, don't hesitate to ask questions when you're there. You know, what are the hiring ages? What are they looking for? Employees will generally be really happy to share that information with you. And if you happen to make a connection, ask that employee's name and ask if you can share their name on your application. Shows some initiative, and it gives you a little bit of an in to put a current employee's name on your application.
Thanks, Stacy. Kirk.
Yeah, I really like what Jeff had to say. It's anything you can do to stand out. I mean, we're receiving all of these applications. So a little tidbit about something you've done that's kind of unique, and it doesn't need to be something that changed the world, but just something that tells us a lot about who you are as a person, to be transparent, because that's the kind of people we want on board, is people who really like being around people. It's guest services, it's customer services, it's servicing the citizens of Loveland. Visit the facility or the area that you might be interested in wanting to apply for. So if you're interested in something with, say, summer camps, maybe come to the rec center or the Parks and Recreation building and say, who runs summer camps? And they could give you a name, and then maybe get an email and email them or call them and say, hey, I put in an application. I just want to let you know I'm super interested. If you have a question, it's okay to ask it there. You know, we're a fair employer. We follow the protocols and processes to be an equal opportunity employer, but you can ask questions, you can get your name out there. And I also liked how it was mentioned that if you know somebody, just to say, this is someone that I know, they told me it was a really great place to work. And it's just nice to have those conversations with people that are already on board to say, hey, you know this person, what do you know? So basically just stand out as you can, and it's okay to be proactive. And I've never felt that somebody was too persistent and irritated by them calling 2 and 3 times. It lets me know that they're super excited and taking that initiative that was spoken about. So get out there, make yourself stand out.
Definitely networking. How about you, Jeff?
Well, I love the suggestions to ask lots of questions and to talk to the employees that work there. You know, one, it's great because they can give you advice on what it was like for them to go through the hiring process. And Two, just because it'll help you find out if you really want to work there or not too, and to make sure that'll be a good fit. Because definitely working somewhere is a two-way street. You want to make sure that it's going to be valuable for you and you're going to enjoy it. The other thing I would say is don't get discouraged if you don't get your first job offer from your first interview, or you apply and you don't get callbacks right away. Sometimes it does take a while, and persistence does pay off. Whether it's applying at the same place down the line, or if you have an interview, sometimes you could have done a really good job at an interview, but there were a lot of good candidates and you just missed the cut. And following up, when you get that call back saying, we really appreciate it, but we're not going to hire you at this time, ask what you can do or to improve the next time. We actually did have an employee that we felt just wasn't quite ready when they interviewed the first time. And they asked for feedback on what they could have done differently. And we gave them our feedback, and they applied 8 months later, and we hired them. And we noticed that they made an improvement, and they actually ended up as one of our shift managers. If anybody's familiar with Mikey, if he ever helped party coach or run a shift when you came in to play laser tag. So definitely it can take time to enter the workforce, so don't get discouraged.
Definitely. I could definitely resonate with that as a college senior, just looking for jobs in general. It takes time. Dylan, is there anything you would add?
Yeah, I mean, like these guys said, asking questions is great. Don't be afraid, be yourself, talk to us. We're people too. I was on the same side, interviewing when I was 17 to get the job. So, I'm sure I was nervous at the time. We're all people, tell us about yourself, and just show us who you really are. I think Jeff touched on the last question that we know we can train you how to do the stuff. We want to make sure you're a good fit and you're going to be a good part of the family. So we're not too worried about all that. Just, show us who you are.
Thanks, Dylan. I think we had a question come up in the chat from an attendee. What if a 14-year-old has great availability through the summer, with the exception of a 1-week family trip out of state? How should they address that during the application process? Stacy?
So in our application, it actually asks if you have any trips or time off in the near future that you need to take. And that's simply, we do that simply to get that out there, give you the opportunity to say, I have this trip already planned coming up, and then we can talk about it during the interview and just make sure that there's no concerns or questions about the timing of it.
Thank you. Kirk, is there anything you would add?
I think that's great that you would have something planned. It shows that you're human and you have other things going on in your life with your family or whatever it might be. So yeah, just as was mentioned, let us know, communicate that, and they can usually be worked with. Those things are going to come up, and we're looking for good people in the long run. These jobs are seasonal, but not all of them are seasonal. I guess that's kind of strange to say, but not all are. Some of them go through the whole year as part-time positions. And keep in mind, if you're 14 and you're not available the whole summer, you make a good name for yourself. And then the next summer, when you reapply, we know a lot about you, and it's okay that you took the application. I wouldn't let that discourage you. However, and it's been mentioned, we do need people that are available, and the nature of Parks and Recreation, 4th of July is a big, busy holiday. I can't think of anything where you would be working super late, but there's those holidays where we're going to need you. So just communicate. That's perfectly fine. You have other things planned. That's a good sign. I like to know that people are well-rounded.
Thanks, Kurt. How about you, Jeff? Anything different you'd add?
Not really. I think that they answered it perfectly. I think, like they said, just be upfront about it and communicate it. If you're a great candidate, I think every employer, unless you're literally asking off the time they specifically need you, every employer would do what it takes to make sure that works and that it's going to be a good fit.
Thanks, Jeff. Dylan, any last thoughts there on that one?
Pretty similar to them. I mean, just the fact you're prepared and thinking about, something 3 months down the road is great for us. We're similar, obviously, certain holidays are going to be a little bit busier than others. So we like to see availability there, but if it's a family trip, that's great. You should always spend time with your family. That should, come above everything else. So no problems with us.
Thanks, Dylan. The next question I have is, how would you suggest young adults utilize early summer employment opportunities to further explore their future career pathways? What were your first opportunities, and did the skills you gained, do you still use these today in your position? Stacy?
I would say that in your first jobs, to really, again, ask a lot of questions, ask what other people are doing, what managers do, and what they like and what they don't like. As much information as you can learn about the particular business or company that you're working for. You might find that you're working at Jack's and retail's just not something that you love, and that's okay. That's a really great time for you to give something like retail a shot and find out if it's something that you would want to do for your whole life or for a chunk of your life. I think in my first jobs, the things that I learned are definitely how to talk to people you don't know and how to figure out what's expected of me. And I think those are jobs, or those are things that I use every day, all day.
Thank you, Stacey. That's great advice. Kirk, how about you?
Yeah, I kind of want to just echo all of that. We're looking for people with organizational skills, and you can use that in any job moving forward: customer service and people skills, teamwork skills, collaboration, working on projects together and figuring out solutions and being critically minded. Some things were mentioned: communication skills, working with kids, teaching, being organized. All of these skills will take you into another career. Some of our employees, they do end up getting a full-time job, and that's something they're interested in Parks and Recreation, and that's really cool. But a lot of them do move on, and we understand that. And we try to be supportive of that. We have one guy now that really is trying to become a police officer, and we're supportive of that. We have another guy that wants to be part of the fire department, and we support that. We want people that have these long-term goals. That says a lot about them, and we'll just take them as long as we can keep them. It's neat to see the initiative and see that they have kind of a long-term plan. So yeah, these skills apply moving forward to so many career paths and moving forward into educational endeavors, university, whatever. It's really good to practice them when you're young. You can see the people that have had great jobs when they're young and they come to us. So super happy to get you guys in here.
Thank you, Kirk. Jeff, anything you would add?
Yeah, so I like what everyone said so far. And I think, the biggest thing is, regardless of what your career interests are, just learning what it means to be employed and have a job is definitely, that's the biggest thing. So it's definitely, a shock for a lot of young people to go from not having a job to suddenly having that responsibility. There's something about the even as flexible as a job can be, just knowing you have a shift, on a Saturday afternoon and something fun might come up, but, knowing that, you're not going to do that. You can't go out with your friends, or even, training your parents not to be upset if you have to miss the family dinner because you were scheduled and didn't ask off. So those skills of learning how to fit work into the rest of your life is a good skill to learn, because you're going to have that presumably for a very long time. But there's learning, to get along with others on a team, and conflict management and guest service skills, and even money management. When you start getting a paycheck, it's very exciting. I remember my first job at Taco Bell when I was in high school. And when I got that first paycheck, I thought I was rich. It was awesome. And then my parents told me that I had to start paying for my own gas and my own food. And I realized the money doesn't go very far. But it's a good skill to learn. And then the other thing is, there's often, you'll be surprised what opportunities there are within that first job. Like for example, we have someone that does all of our graphic design. They actually started off as one of our party coaches, and just working like any other marshal, until we realized that they have a passion for art and graphic design, and they asked if there's anything they can do to help out. And next thing you know, 7 years later, they're designing the logos for a new business. So don't be afraid to share what your passions are, and you'll be surprised what opportunities will come up.
Thank you so much, Jeff, for those stories and insight. Dylan, anything you'd add?
Jeff got there right before I did. I was going to say the intangible stuff for sure. Learning the organization, scheduling, stuff like that, that you need to know, or need to have when you're working is great. We have a lot of people who they like to cook and they want to work in the kitchen. And we've got a couple now that, unfortunately, because they're 15, they're not able to work in there. So, they're still working for us now because they get to learn how the restaurant operates, how to, make sure they're there for work, picking up shifts, learning all that now. That way they're ready for the position that they want when they turn 16.
Definitely. Thank you, Dylan. We do have a couple more questions in the chat. I'll kind of just leave these as an open floor for any of you panelists to chime in on. The first one is, how soon do these businesses recommend applying for a summer job?
I'd say today. We get a lot of applications in, and we're always trying to be prepared. So as soon as you can, I'd apply and at least get your name out there.
I would agree. Yeah, now is always a good time to do things, and more positions will be posted soon. There's a few on our website now, and more will be coming up as we get closer to summer. So watch it closely, but yeah, do not put it off. While there's a lot of positions, there's only a finite amount. So we want to make sure that you get one of those jobs.
Definitely. Jeff or Stacy, anything to add? Or
I agree. The sooner the better.
okay. The next question that was in the chat was, for first-time jobs, are applicants expected to have a resume?
We don't require a resume in our application process. So if you don't have one for Jax, I would not stress about that. If you have one and you want to submit it, we love to take a look at it and can always provide feedback, but not critical for us.
Yeah, same. It's not required for Loveland laser tag. If you have things to put on the resume, that's great. It's another way for you to stand out. It's also another, like, on our application, there's not a place to attach a resume. But if it gives you another touch point, if you can then follow up with us in an email saying, I just wanted to follow up on my application. I'm really excited to get to talk to you and talk about the position. Here's a resume with a little bit more information. And then, sometimes that jump starts that conversation about bringing you in for an interview. And then one other thing I'll say is, it doesn't have, if you don't have any work experience, there's plenty of other things, like I said, I think earlier, that you can put on the application that tell us about yourself. It doesn't have to be just about the jobs, making the honor roll, babysitting, starting your own lawn mowing business over the summer, really anything that tells us kind of what you're all about.
Thank you, Jeff and Stacy. So as we kind of transition towards the end of our panel, I just kind of have one final question for all of you. What's your last kernel of wisdom or piece of advice that you'd like to offer to the audience? Stacy, we'll start with you.
I would say, if there is a place that you really want to work, just to be courageous and give it a shot. Even if you're not sure that you have any of the right experience, take a little bit of time to think about what experience you do have and how that might translate into the job that you want, even if it's not exactly the same kind of experience. Just as Jeff was talking about babysitting experience or lawn mowing, how does that relate to being a cashier at Jax? It shows that you're organized and that you can manage your time and that you have worked with money. And so I think put those things on the application and give it a shot, even if you don't have any experience.
Thank you, Stacy. Kirk, how about you?
Just to kind of piggyback, as far as the resume goes, the application process kind of takes care of that, and it filters the information we need. However, I can say as a coordinator, it's really cool to see a resume. So it's really neat when you're at an interview and you say, here's a resume that I prepared if we don't already have it. So it does make you stand out a little bit. I would recommend visiting whatever it is you're interested in is in the Parks and Recreation Department, or finding out who operates that particular part of Parks and Recreation, and just get and say hello. And it's great. Come in and say hi. I've applied. My name is, XXX, and I'm interested in the position, and hopefully you see my application, and just to get your name out there, and then learn about the position. I think that's been mentioned. So ask questions, maybe find out someone else that has that position through networking, and say, hey, what do they expect, and what will I be doing? Make sure you understand the job expectations. Those are online, but it's really important you understand the job that you're applying for, so that it's a good match for you too.
Definitely. Thanks, Kirk. Jeff, what you got?
Well, I love his advice that remember that being a good match is important. Because be confident in yourself and know that as much as you're lucky to get a job, we're lucky to have such a great employee too. So be confident in yourself, and I know it's hard not to be nervous, especially for your first interview. But just remember, as a lot of us have said, we've all had that first interview. We've all probably been very nervous for it. I know I was incredibly nervous for not just my first, but all my interviews. I still get nervous. I get nervous before these speaking things too. So just remember that when you're sitting in the room, that we've all been there where you are, and everyone starts somewhere. And the more relaxed you can be, the more you can let yourself shine through.
Definitely. I also get nervous when I'm speaking in front of a lot of people. Dylan, what you got?
Well, one thing that I wanted to say is just take the shot. Put in the application. Sometimes you never know. Maybe you're the perfect fit for them. Maybe it doesn't work out, but just take the shot. Is always worth it in the end, just to do it.
Thank you, Ian. So yeah, we do have a couple of questions in the chat, and I'll kind of leave these open floor for anyone to chime in. Do you think being 13 years old but about to turn 14 in June may be an obstacle?
I'd say no. I mean, just the fact that you're thinking that far ahead again is great. I mean, we've had people who start here as soon as they turn 14, and I love the fact that they're already out in the workforce and already hustling. That's great.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. It's not necessarily the insurmountable obstacle, but just be prepared for some of the challenges that you might face, like how are you going to get to work, and then also sometimes there's some practical limitations to how late you can work, how many hours, and just be ready for those, and make sure you've had a good serious discussion with family about what it means for you to have a job. We definitely don't want your first job to get in the way of other commitments you have, like family and enjoying being a 13-year-old or someone that just turned 14. So have a plan for how you're going to get to work and how many days you're going to work and that sort of thing.
Thank you, Jeff. Also, a few people in the chat were asking where they can apply to each of your businesses. So I'd just like to give some time before we end this panel for each of you to share once again, maybe how they can apply. Stacy, we'll start with you.
Sure. You can visit our website, which is www.jacksgoods.com, and it's all the way at the bottom. It says employment.
Thanks, Stacy. Kirk?
Yeah, I've mentioned, so it's lovegov.org/jobs.
Jeff, how about you?
For us, it's also on our website, laserfuncenter.com/jobs.
And for us, www.culvers.com. You do have to search there because we're a national restaurant, but you can find us there. Or honestly, you can always come in. We do still have paper applications, and I'm a bit of a dinosaur. I still like holding a paper app every now and then. And, we love meeting you and, even saying hi to mom and dad, because it's important for them to know, who you're working for and where you're working at as well.
Thanks, Dylan. Well, I think this kind of wraps up our panel. I'd like to thank all of you for your time today. I'm sure all of us appreciate your sharing of all that valuable insight for our community to learn from. Also, for all the attendees, if you need any assistance with your resume or mock interview when applying to any of these businesses, feel free to reach out to anyone on the Career Rise team, and we'd be more than happy to help. Before we transition into our next part of this presentation, I'd like you all to answer a poll question. Thank you. What type of work are you looking for? So go ahead. Alrighty, it looks like most everyone has answered the polling questions. I would like to just reiterate again, I really appreciate you all being here and answering and asking those great questions for our amazing panelists today. We're now going to move into something exciting that our Career Rise team has recently launched, and that is paid summer internships. So I'm going to send it over to Monica, and she's going to talk a little bit more about that. But thank you again to all of our panelists and everyone. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that was good stuff. We love hearing direct from employers. I feel like we talk about this a lot as employment specialists for youth. So it's awesome to hear this direct from these hiring managers. So good things. So our team is really excited that you're here tonight because we can let you know kind of hot off the presses. Just yesterday, we opened up applications for our paid summer internship opportunities. That QR code will take you to our seasonal opportunities page where you'll first see summer employment nights tonight, but then the next one down is going to be a link to that website where all of this great information is. These are opportunities that our team has been working really hard the past couple of months actually to be able to offer some paid opportunities for youth and young adults ages 16 to 18. So you do have to be 16 at start of the work all the way up to 18. The internships are going to be 250 hours in length, so that would depend on how many hours per week you're working, starting in June, ending before school starts again at $14 an hour. The way we've been able to offer these is that through a couple of different ways. So when you're on the website for our paid summer internships, you're going to see 3 different buttons. There's one that's talking about the Northern Colorado manufacturing sector internships. Those internships are funded through the manufacturing sector. So what does that mean? It's a group of manufacturers, a sector partnership where businesses have come together to share resources, feed their pipeline, and then one of the great projects that our team has been able to partner with that group is funding some of these internships. Same thing with Northern Colorado Health Sector Partnership. So that's another bucket. And then lastly, there's a third that you'll see there that those internships are funded through Larimer County funds. What we want to make sure that you do is if you're interested in any of these positions, all 3 of them are going to span a ton of different position types. And so you might open up manufacturing, and of course you're going to see some great opportunities working with local manufacturers on their floor and working with machinery and doing some really great hands-on things that you would typically think of as manufacturing. But then you're also going to see there's a marketing position in there and customer service and administrative. The same thing happens with health sector internships. There's a variety of different positions, both direct service, all the way to working behind the scenes in HR. So we definitely want you to check out all 3 opportunities because those positions do vary quite a bit. The ones for the Larimer County, the ones that are funded through Larimer County do have an added piece of eligibility. And so those funds that we are able to secure to offer additional positions this summer are earmarked specifically for youth and young adults who meet low income criteria. I'm not going to get into all the details about that because there's a lot of different ways that you could meet that criteria. But just know that those internships, you will have to meet certain criteria. And that's all outlined in the application process. What happens when you submit an application for one of those internships is that one of us will reach out to you and just verify your eligibility. These are, as I said, they're live as of yesterday. Applications are going to close at the end of this month, March 31st. So just like these other employers, get started early. You know, explore those positions and then, you know, throw your hat in the ring, put yourself out there and apply. You are, we're encouraging folks to apply for more than one. So we know there's a ton of great opportunities in there. So if you want to go for more than one, if you want to go for 2 or 3, then definitely do that. You will have to do a new application for each internship position that you want to apply for, just like the real world. And so one piece of nugget that we want to make sure that folks think about is there's questions on the internship applications, you know, specifically around why are you interested in this internship? So you heard some of our employer panel talk about how they want to know not just that you want your first job or that you know, it sounds fun. You want to tailor the answer to that question to that specific employer. So off of the website, you'll see the position description. So you'll be able to see what those job duties are. We encourage you to jump on that company's website, get to know them that way as well before you apply, so that the application that you turn in, including the answer to that question, is tailored to that opportunity. It's tailored to that employer. These are competitive positions. And so there's 40 that we have to offer. We're going to exceed the applications. You know, those are going to exceed 40. So make sure that you're putting your best foot forward, that you're putting thought into your answers and into your resume as well. Our team is here to help you be successful in applying for these internships. And so direct from each of those pages and from the main internship page, you're going to see links where you can request a 20-minute consultation with one of our career specialists. You could do a resume review. You can do a mock interview. And so whatever you need to make yourself compete as best you can for these internship positions, that's what we're here for. And that's what we love to do. So definitely don't be afraid to do that. Give yourself time. A resume review could take up to 5 days just to get someone to give you some feedback. We're committing to responding to, to interested parties within 2 business days of getting a consult request. So don't wait till the last minute, when your application is due and ready to go. Does anyone have any questions about any of that before we continue on and I pass it back to Matt? I don't mind answering questions. And Career Ace staff, any others that would have anything to add, you're more than welcome to as well. All right, well, in that case, I'm going to bring it back to Matt and let him start a polling question for us while we transition back to Matt so he can introduce the Conservation Corps. Get those applications in.
Thanks, Monica. Yeah, I'll give about a minute or so to answer this question. Alrighty, it looks like most everyone has had a chance to answer the question. So we're gonna move on and introduce the Larimer County Conservation Corps. Yeah, I'm gonna pass it over to them and let them present a little bit about who they are and what they do. Yeah, let's send it over to Taylor.
Awesome. My name's Taylor. I'm the program coordinator for Larimer County Conservation Corps. So we offer seasonal programming for youth this summer. Unfortunately, for a lot of you, it will only be 18 to 25-year-olds. So maybe something to think about in the future after graduating high school. Yeah, we run seasonal programming. A lot of you know us for our summer programs, which include Forestry Crew, a land crew, and trail crews. We also have winter and spring programs, which is our water and energy crew, which we're running right now. A little bit of a shameless plug, they're performing home efficiency assessments for folks across Larimer County. So if you're interested in that or working with that, once you turn 18, it's a great opportunity. So if you want to click to the next slide, I'll kind of line out what our crews look like for the summer. So we are going to have 4 crews running this summer. The first one being the Rocky Mountain Trail Crew. So that's a crew of, like I said, 18 to 25-year-olds, 8 core members, and along with that, we'll have 1 assistant crew lead and 1 lead. So they'll spend 8 weeks up in Rocky Mountain National Park doing trail work, trail maintenance, and some invasive species removal. So that's backcountry camping Monday through Thursday. So it's a pretty immersive experience. Really awesome, get to know the crew that you're working with. So that's, and also a big part of the core program is just networking and professional development. So with that, we encourage a lot of interaction between the national park employees and our core members, just so that you get a little bit of a clue into what your future might look like, a career in the Park Service or whatever it may be. Our other trail crew that we have this summer is with the Forest Service. So again, we're hiring 1 lead, this time 2 assistant crew leads and 9 core members, again, 18 to 25-year-olds. This one is a 15-week program. So if you're kind of thinking about a gap year between high school and college, it might be a really great experience for you. It will go a little bit longer through August, past August. Again, camping Monday through Thursday and doing work like trail construction, trail maintenance, and invasive species management. Next slide. Our other crew is our land crew. This crew is 8 core members, an assistant lead, and a lead. This is an 8-week program, June through August. Again, camping Monday through Thursday. This crew is a little bit different in the types of work you do. It's a lot different work. So you can, week by week, you'll spend with different agencies. So it could be working at the fish hatchery for 1 week, doing wildlife management with Parks and Wildlife 1 week, up at Laurie State Park doing trail building and trail maintenance. Yeah, and then our last crew is our Forestry Crew, kind of known as our Saw Crew or Sawyer Crew. This crew is running chainsaws up near Red Feather for 6 weeks of the summer and then 2 weeks in the national park. Again, 6 core members, 1 lead and 1 assistant lead, camping Monday through Thursday up at the Boy Scout Ranch, if you're familiar with that, up at Red Feather. You would get certified in S212, which allows you to run chainsaws on land up there, federal or private. Yeah, so that's our 4 crews this summer. There might be some hiring this fall as well, so keep an eye out for that. In terms of timeline, we're getting ready now. We're gearing up to hire our leads. So we'll hire our leads and then our assistant leads, and then core member applications should come online probably beginning of April. As you can see, we have many positions hiring. So if you have siblings, family, friends, whoever it may be that are fitting that age group, pass them along. We'd love to have them as a part of our team this summer. Looks like there were some questions. Let me open up the chat quick. Sorry, I'm struggling to, oh, looks like they're getting answered in the chat. You can apply online, larimer.org/EWD/get involved. That should be linked here as well. Yeah, that's all from me, unless there's any questions.
Thank you, Taylor, for that. And the Conservation Corps in general too. It sounds like it's such a unique program in the great outdoors. So yeah, I really appreciate that. I think we will be moving on, yes, to the last slide. Alrighty, so for all of you who may be interested in any of these businesses or the Conservation Corps as well, we would be happy, feel free to email the Careerize email that you see there, and we would be happy to work with any of you to help connect you to these businesses. But before you go, we would really appreciate it if you take some time to answer these next couple of polling questions. So how many people also watched this event with you? Alrighty, I think people have had enough time to answer that final polling question. Yeah, so I would just like to kind of reiterate my appreciation for all the panelists and all the attendees for connecting with us in this online setting. We really appreciate you coming out. After this event, you'll receive a follow-up email, kind of just overviewing the services that Careerize provides. And also just a recording of this event too, so you can refer back as well. But yeah, that's kind of all we have for today. If any of you would like to stick around and ask some additional questions in the next few minutes, you are totally welcome to, but otherwise feel free to log off. And yes, thank you.